Okay, it's July 24th, 2021. We are in Hume, Illinois, and this is a Denbo family history lesson. So I'm just going to start by asking you guys to share significant stories you remember from your childhood.
From our wonderful childhood.
Yes. Stories about going to Oblong, stories about growing up in Hume, stories about growing up during the Depression when Papa was in service. There you go. Now, talk.
Okay, what do we got on the list? What are we going to talk about first? We want to talk about the calf?
The calf in the car?
Calf in the car.
We can talk about the calf in the car.
Okay.
Grandma had a farm
Grandma Hans.
in Oblong, Illinois, and she lived down there, and Grandpa, he lived up here, and Grandma wanted a calf. So Dad looked around and finally found a little calf. Now to get it down there, we didn't have a truck, so we loaded it in the back seat of a car, and Grandpa and I, did you sit back there with us?
I sat back there with you.
We sat back there with that calf in that back, and Mom and Dad sat in the front. Yeah, because you could have sat in the front, there wasn't 3 seats.
You were how old?
So we go.
How old were you?
Oh,
I don't know how old we was
How old were you?
back then.
well, I don't remember.
I don't know, probably about 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
Probably about that age. But every time we'd go to Casey, Illinois, we had stoplights, and every stoplight that calf would bawl out, and there people would be looking around seeing where that calf was. And there was no calf to be seen because we had to hit down in the back seat of the car. So we finally got down there, and Mom and Dad always told me that the first thing that happened was I run in the house and says, "Grandma, come out and get this damn calf." So, but that was
That was a calf story.
the calf
I'm
story
surprised
about
it didn't go
that.
to the bathroom.
Well,
And
that's
then-
what we were surprised about too. And now I think, how did that calf not go all that time?
Probably scared to death and didn't want to go.
Oh, that's probably true too.
But then we get down there, and it goes back from today to then about the sanity of thing, and especially the well, because Grandma's well for the house and everybody lived right next to the barnyard. And right next to that was the water trough for the cows. So, there had to be a lot of urine from the cows, leaks down in, and it was a dug well. And we drinking that water and never thought anything about it.
And we're still alive.
And we're still alive.
Well, you probably have an immune system that fights everything.
Yeah.
That's why you don't.
But it was filthy around that trough, and it was always wet.
But nobody thought anything about it, you know.
And then she kept all her butter over in a dug well on the other side to keep it cool, all the meat and
Because
stuff.
they had no electricity. Didn't have electricity till I was in high school.
Yeah, it took a long time.
And so the butter and the cream and the milk, they put in things and put in the well or on the other side of the road. And then you needed it dinner time or whatever, you went over and cranked it up. And that was their refrigeration.
And was there water in that well?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, there was water in the well. That's what kept it
And
kept it
of
cool,
course,
the water.
no bathroom. So we put big tubs out in the yard to take a bath in.
No, we did that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
The outhouse was out there too, and that big turkey always was
flogged
walking.
you. You couldn't get out.
She had a board there to carry with you when you went out.
What, she had a turkey that protected the outhouse?
Anybody went through the gate, he was after. Yeah.
Wait a minute. The outhouse was in a fenced-in
Barnyard,
area?
in
Yeah.
the barnyard.
On the other side, she had a big yard out there. She had chicken houses out in there, and the outhouse was out in there. And that was about all from their trip to the
Up to the
big barn up north.
Yeah.
How far was it?
Oh, I don't know. It was quite a little walk.
So you had to get in the middle of the night?
It's probably what,
Oh,
100
for the
yards?
outhouse was just outside the door. It wasn't very far,
Oh.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was far enough.
With the barn, it was probably 100 yards
Yeah.
up a little hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that?
Well, I remember because I walked out there once, I saw a snake, and I ran to the barn. Yeah, I got there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. So,
So,
That took pretty much the the calf story, and
Well, you remember when you were running away from home?
yeah, I don't know why I was going to run away from home, but I was, yeah, and Aunt Winnie, I called her Aunt Winnie, but she really wasn't that. She took care of us all the time, but
And we were staying with her. The
she
folks
went
had
and got
gone
me a
someplace.
stick and got a red handkerchief and tied it on the end of it and put it on my shoulder and
He
said
kept
goodbye.
he kept us saying, I'm gonna run away. I just want to run away. And so she said, okay. And she went out and she got a stick, a limb thing, got one of those big handkerchiefs, put him a sandwich or something in it and tied it up, gave it to him, and he put it over his shoulder and he took off out the door, and he must have been gone 10 minutes. And he turned around and came back.
And then there's a story that I don't ever recall but happening. She swears by it. But I stuck a tin can on her head and she couldn't get out of it. So we had to take her down to the garage and cut it off.
It was
There's
a
a bucket,
bucket.
a little bucket.
A little bucket. No, you didn't. I didn't say. I did it myself.
Oh, you did it? Well, I thought you always said I did it.
No. I stuck it on my head. Always, and then we couldn't get it up. Couldn't get it.
Had a
you
little
know,
lip on it.
and couldn't get it up and get it off. So they had to take me up to the garage, Hamilton's garage, and I can remember feeling. I was sitting on Mom's lap, I think, and I'm thinking, boy, I bet I look silly. And it took me into the garage, and they had to take 10 snips and to get it off my head.
And you were in a perfectly good
That old
bucket.
garage is still
Yeah, I run a
there.
perfectly good bucket.
That old garage is still there.
Yeah. it's
The
still
blacksmith shop, what was it?
No.
No, it's
Over there by across from the old theater.
he probably doesn't know where the old
Oh,
theater
okay.
is.
It's still standing. The old theater still stands.
Yeah,
The old
no,
theater's
it's
still
not,
standing?
The theater's not standing.
Yes,
There's-
the old theater is still standing there.
I thought that was on the west side of
It
Center
was
Street.
the west. No, it was on the west side up there by the doctor's office.
well, there's no building there, honey.
There's a memorial out there now, right?
And
For
right to the south of that
Veteran
memorial is this big brick building that was the Hume Theater.
Ah,
You can drive up there and see. And I was in that theater once when I was a little kid in the first grade. We went down there for a play.
Yeah.
But that old theater is still there. But Miller's owned it. He used it for his cars, his race cars.
I didn't even know Hume had a theater.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
had a big.
yours-
It had a big town.
It was a booming town.
It really was.
And you had, when we were growing up, you had 2 grocery stores,
Uh-huh.
had a newspaper, had at least 1 bank,
And well, there was
At one
Two
time
Two
there
or
was
three
3 banks.
grocery gas
restaurant.
stations.
3 gas
Drew
stations.
gas
Yeah.
stations.
2 restaurants.
Where was the gas station?
Yeah, well,
All-
there
all
was
on the highway.
there was 3 restaurants at one
No,
time.
back in the old days of Hume.
Well, that's where I remember. There
Oh
was
yeah.
3 on the
Okay,
highway.
I'll go back a little further. The only gas station when I was growing up, it was in front of Max Cohen's store. It was just a pump.
Yeah, but down here there was.
Oh, cool, Crisp.
Yeah,
Darryl
that's
Crisp.
yeah,
That's
Darryl
right.
Crisp, and then Lula
And
Noel,
Lula Noel, yeah.
and then
Yeah.
there was 3.
And a motel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a motel.
Used to play in that when they closed it. Right. We went there and play in it.
And they had a
And
barber
the
shop.
motel?
The hotel.
Oh, the hotel. Oh.
Yeah, that old hotel. That was
Oh, I'm
uptown.
thinking about that thing down
Right.
on the state
That-
on
no.
the
On the
36.
There was
highway.
a big hotel uptown.
Oh,
It burnt down.
oh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I remember that.
And there was a lumber yard, and
Well, there was
People lived in
Grandma Grandma
Cambridge.
Kay's
yeah,
junk
she had.
building or whatever that was.
She had furnitures, and then she had the pharmacy part. Well, not pharmacy. She sold everything in there, I think.
General store.
Yeah, there was a pharmacy in there.
But yeah,
Because I got the old ice box over there that Stark used to use to cool his medicines.
Oh,
That little ice box I got over in the kitchen,
yeah.
that was in Stark's store. You used to have Stark's store written on the back of it, but it faded off.
There was, of course, a switchboard operator.
Yeah, and Grandma, Mom, she worked there. Made 10 cents an hour.
And I got that old switchboard.
I remember that.
And then
You
I
still
took-
have it?
No, I took it and donated it to the Edgar County Museum.
Oh, wow.
So they got it down there. I got the headphones from it. There were headphones they had. I got them over home.
So talk about what it was like during the Depression.
I don't remember too much about it.
We were, yeah. See, he was born in 32 and I was in 34. And
But Mom and Dad kept it actually. I mean, every Saturday night, was it Saturday night? they'd take us to Danville. Every Saturday night we'd go to Danville and we stop at the same restaurant. We get a hot dog and
It's
chocolate
a
milk.
Greek restaurant.
Yeah, we get a hot dog and chocolate milk.
Yeah.
And that old building's still standing up there.
Wow.
And we'd park around the back and then we'd walk
Yeah,
across.
walk
And
and
after a while we'd get in the car and come back home.
You'd go up there just for a hot dog?
yeah, we go up there.
They'd just
every
take us out. We'd
Saturday
go to a
night.
show maybe.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go for a hot dog.
Yeah. Well, I guess it was depression didn't get out much.
Well, I guess it was the trip was half of it anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, his dad was getting $10 a bushel for corn. I mean, to help pick corn.
Something like that. And Mom was getting 10 cents an hour working at the telephone office.
Wow.
Well, what did he do when he wasn't picking corn? That's not a year-round job.
He worked on the railroad.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Him and Grandpa.
Grandpa Hans. They
Grandpa worked on the old Doty, and he was a foreman. Repaired the tracks and all. And I remember, I don't know who he was with at this time. He took us a ride on that motor car. He took me.
I don't remember.
He took a ride on the motor car, just a little thing that would hold about 6 men. And we went from up here where his little shop was, by the old depot up there.
By where Richard.
Yeah, just west of Richards there a little bit. And we got on the old Doty, and we went whooping down through there on grasshoppers. Oh, I never saw so many grasshoppers in my life. They were worse than cicadas. And weeds. And he took us right down through there.
So did Papa work on, like, repair the railroad? Was
Yeah,
that-
Dad worked on the, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And that was when, back then, so when they had the train going through, it was called the Doodlebug.
Yeah.
And we were little. And Mom would take us down to the station, put us on, now Grandpa still had friends that was work as a conductor, and they'd watch us. And we'd get on that Doodlebug and go to Indianapolis. And Aunt Ann and Aunt Esther would meet us there, and they'd take us, remember going to Woolworth's drugstore for lunch. And that was a big deal.
And she had that dog that went to the ice cream thing every day, every day. When he go
Yeah,
ahead
every
and give him
day.
an ice cream cone, and
Yeah, they had a block from them was a ice cream place, and the dog, big Saint Bernard, Nanette,
Mm-hmm.
and the dog would walk over there by itself and sit outside, and they give the dog ice cream, and Ann would go over every Saturday and pay.
yeah, it did.
That's what happens when you don't have. Well, they had kids, so they had.
Yeah.
Now they'd probably pick the dog up and throw it in the dog pound and fine him for lost stuff.
Yeah, right.
And then when we'd stay about a week, and then Aunt Ann and Aunt Esther would put us back on the train, and we'd come back home.
And then as I got older, of a night time, Steve Boyer and I would catch that train and go to Newman to the show on Saturday nights and catch a ride back to Hume, and with Ferris's, Tobe Ferris. And we'd do that every Saturday night. We was in high school then, that was about 49-50, or 1551. And
Wow. Well, some of the things on your list.
so a lot of that's on there. Etta Staley,
Oh, Etta
can't
Staley.
forget Eddie Staley.
She was a teacher. She was taught the third and fourth grade, and she was old.
She was vicious.
Yeah, oh yeah, she was. She
I got many erasers thrown at me and hit on my wrist with a ruler.
None of which you deserved, right?
I didn't think I was that bad.
but when it was winter time
Oh.
or any time, she would call Mom. Well, could we walk her to school? And she just lived on just south of the old library. And so we'd go over, and she'd get in the middle, and she'd grab hold of our coats, on
You'd
each
have to
side.
undress when we
And
got
by the
school.
time we got to school, we're leaning over like this, with our clothes hanging off of us, our coat. We're freezing to death. And so we kept saying, Mom, no, do we have to do that? Yes, you have to do that. Well, we finally told Mom, we're froze to death by the time we get to school. So Mom let us go around the long way, cut uptown and down by the post office and school. And so then when Miss Staley'd call, my Mom said, well, they've already gone. So I don't know how she got to school like
Maybe that's why she was darn mean. Took it out on us.
Maybe, but yeah, that lasted a long time.
And then it didn't take me long to learn that when Mom said something, she meant it. And if you didn't do it and you run away from her, she'd catch you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Tell it.
Well, the railroad behind
I
us.
remember this.
The railroad behind us had a side track over there, and the main track, and behind it was a big steep hill. Well, the railroad maintained that, so this one time they was pushing the dirt back and had it all up there, and all the dirt was loose. And I did something, I don't know what I did, but I took off running from her, run across the tracks. She was right behind me, and I got up the top, and I slipped and fell and rolled all the way back down.
And she got him.
And she caught me. Then I hid from her one time under the bed, and she said, "Just stay there." I had to come out, and she got me again.
He said, "You got to come out sometime."
What about during when Papa was in the war and you guys were all here?
Well,
I
Grandma
don't
worked at
remember.
the munitions.
Grandma or Mom worked over at the
DuPont.
DuPont over
No.
at making.
DuPont?
Yeah, DuPont. That's what they called the plant. It was
DuPont.
DuPont Company,
Oh, I thought that was.
and they run into.
Newport.
They were making.
Okay.
Making ammunition.
She was at the high water or something.
Is that for the atomic bomb?
For the atomic
For the
weapon.
atomic bomb.
That's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know it at the time, but then they found out. So
Heavy
she
water. It was heavy water.
Yeah. So of course Grandpa lived with us. So Grandpa was always there with us for, see that we was off to school.
And what house was that? Were you living in then?
Where Martha Hance lives now.
I thought that was his house,
Whose house?
Grandpa Hanson's.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, and then you guys.
They're relation with Martha Hanson. She spells hers H-A-N-C-E.
Oh, no, I knew that, but I
Yeah.
meant I thought that I didn't know that was your house. I thought Grandma and Papa's house. I thought
No,
that
it was Grandma and Grandpa owned that.
Oh,
And
my grandma and grandpa, or your grandma and grandpa.
my
Grandma and
grandma and Grandpa lived
Okay.
at. Had
That's
that.
where Grandpa lived.
Yeah, and then you
Grandpa
guys,
lived down in Oblong.
and then you guys moved in. Where were you living? Were you living
We
there?
were living there until Dad got home from the service, and then they bought this house back over here, and that's when we moved. And then that was the first time that we had a bathroom. It was about the only bathroom.
And the water in that was upstairs.
Yes, and I went.
And a horse tank
let
is
me
still in
let
there.
me tell you. I took Marcy over the door the other day and knocked on the door at the woman, and I said, could I bring my daughter in and let her see the house that they've done? I said, she lived here the first year of her life. And she said, sure. And so we were out there talking, and she said, do you know what's up in this attic? And I said, yeah. She said, a horse tank. And I said, yes. And she said, well, why? She said, we always wondered why. And I told her, I said, well, they didn't have the
Running water.
Yeah. And so they put, and it's still shiny and new, I guess, up in the attic, and kept it filled with water. Now I don't know how they did that,
They had
but
a hand pump,
then
Or a
then
sister?
it come down
Their
from.
rainwater? Or?
Well, we had to get it up.
It had to
What
get
she
it
said.
up, and then flush the stool. But we didn't use it. We had water by that time. But that's the way. And I laughed and I told her. I said, I always said, if there was a tornado in town and it took the roof off this house and landed that horse tank someplace, everybody'd say, where'd that come from? But yeah, it's still up there, horse tank in the attic.
Yep.
But
I never did see it.
I've never seen it either.
Too little when we lived there to go up there, but it was a
Yeah.
big horse tank up there.
Yeah, but I remember, Dad enlisted and went to the service, and he wouldn't have had to. And they asked him when he signed up, why? You don't have to join. And he said, I'll fight for my family. And I remember the first time, and he went to basic training in Georgia.
Yeah.
And only had one furlough. He had basic training, and came home, went to New York and shipped out. And I remember I was out and had pump, and I was getting some water, and I was a little shy around him. It seemed, he'd been gone a while, and he was sitting in the swing, and he said, "Boy, I bet you're a good singer." And I turned around and looked at him. He said, "You got legs like a canary." But then he shipped out, and he called back as soon as he got there, and Mom said, well, I broke out in chickenpox and mumps, both of them at the same time. And if he'd waited and been home another day, he'd have been quarantined, see. He wouldn't. But it's a good thing because things are meant to be, and maybe he'd waited later, maybe he'd have gotten killed or something.
Yeah.
Everything's planned, so it worked out right. And that's where over there, Dad met Paul Hawkins during the Battle of the Bulge.
Well, he was reading a newspaper.
Yeah, well,
Wait
a minute. Dad jumped in the foxhole and they kept shooting, and when the shooting slowed down, he turned around and Paul had his back to him, and Dad said, what do you got in your hip pocket? And it was the Beacon News. And he said that was his hometown paper. So they were friends then, well, until they both passed away.
I have some pictures of us
Down
visiting Paul when he was in the nursing home. And,
Yeah.
Emily.
Yeah. So.
Well,
Then we got the whooping cough.
Huh?
Then we got the whooping cough.
Oh, yeah. And then we went to a birthday party. The only kids that was invited, the ones that had whooping cough. Because practically everybody in town, a kid had it, but you didn't have it, you didn't get to go to the party.
Oh.
And so we'd eat ice cream and everybody go out and hoop and, yeah.
Stand on that back porch and hoop.
A hooping
Cough,
party.
puke
Yeah.
over the ground.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What did you start to say?
So, I don't know what I was going to say.
What do you, gaping?
So why don't you?
All right. Go ahead.
I was also wondering because I don't know a lot about Grandma's sisters, the 8 girls, and all that, and
Well, the only ones that we knew was Aunt Mary, Aunt Ann, Aunt Esther. And Clara died.
And Mom.
Yeah,
that was
Mom, yeah.
before they lived.
Yeah,
The other 4 died.
Yeah. Aunt Martha, Aunt Mary was a twin, and her twin died.
at birth.
Yeah. And Josephine got killed up here at the school ground. Grandma was 6 or 7 months
6 years
pregnant.
old. Oh,
6
okay.
months pregnant with Mom when that happened. And she had gone home for lunch, Josephine had. And when she came back, they had a set of swings, and the high school kids were not supposed to be on the swings. And Beulah Alley was on the swing, and she hollered at Josephine, and she said, would you like to have the swing? And Josephine said yes. Well, so Josephine went running. Beulah swung back, hit Josephine in the neck and killed her. Broke her neck right there. And now, I don't know, maybe there was a picture of her. They had her laid out.
I've got that.
You got a picture of it? I'll have
You
to
got
get
it
a
laid
copy.
out on the couch.
On the couch.
With and without flowers. And there's there was one the original is up there in the town hall. I gave it to the town up there because
Of
they
her?
yeah.
Oh,
Before you go in the restroom, right out there on that door,
the picture of
there's a picture of her laying in her coffin and
At
or
the
on the
community
couch.
on the couch.
At the community building?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
And
I've got a key if you want to go see it.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to get a picture of it.
Okay.
Sure.
Clara
At the abortion.
had an illegal abortion,
It's 7. I think she was 17 when she.
17 or 18, and died. And she wouldn't tell. She was bleeding out, and she wouldn't tell Grandma and Grandpa what had happened.
And she's buried out here.
How did they find out?
Well, I don't know. Maybe but you got the write-up on that about the
I got
doctors.
several of the write-ups. The doctor was convicted.
Oh really?
Yeah, he was convicted in Danville. But I've got a lot of that. I got a lot of history over there. I may let you look at. And
Yeah. You mean you may let me look?
Well, we'll think about
I've
it.
got to
I
think
gotta
about
If
it.
you're nice.
That's right.
I got to think
I
about
gotta
it.
bring your son into the thing then. So I didn't know until recently about your Secret Service, your high-level Secret Service stuff that you were doing in the war. Well, there was no war. You were
Conflict.
the conflict, yes.
Well, I had a choice when I got through school. I went through the supply school, and I had a choice of going to England or Germany. And I thought, well, I can speak English and I can't speak German, so I'll go to England, which turned out best in the whole run. So I went to England, and I got over there in June the 2nd, I think it was, of 1952. I did enlisted in December of 51, and I got over there in June the 2nd of 52, and we landed at Southampton. Almost hit another ship going in because it was so foggy. And so then we got to shore, or got into a building there, and then they called my name out to report to this building, this room. So I went back there, and there was a major and a captain in there, and a master sergeant. So I sat there, and they went over all questions and all kind of stuff, and then they told me to go out and get on a bus. So I got on the bus, and then I spent about an hour or two going back to Rise Norton Air Base. And I remember going in there in the evening, and boy, you just see lights everywhere, red lights and for planes and stuff. And so they put us in a building, and they told us the next day, says, you will stay here until you get your top secret clearances. And if you don't get it, we'll ship you out. And that was all they told us. And so we just worked around there and things, and finally one day, the clearance came through. But before the clearance came through, Mom went up to the post office there one day to get her mail. And Bun Roller says, Todd says, come aside, I want to talk to you. I got a question for you. So she says, sure. So she went over, and Bun says, is Bob in trouble? And Mom says, what do you mean is he in trouble? And Bun says, well, she says, there was 2 FBI agents in here today asking me all kinds of questions about Bob. And Mom says, I don't know, but I'll write and find out. So Mom wrote me a letter. So I sent a letter back to her, and I said, Mom, I can't tell you now, but someday I'll let you know why. And then we just left it at that. Mm-hmm. So then my clearance came through, and they took us out to the building, and they told us, it says, now, since your top secret clearance is gone through, you're going to be working with atomic weapons. So they said, we'll take you over and show you the atomic weapons. So we went over to this warehouse, and there was this big monster thing that they dropped on Hiroshima, and Nagasaki sitting right there in the thing. I leaned on it, I touched it.
Really?
And they said, now whenever you go someplace, you'll be followed. We will follow you, we'll know what you're doing at all times. And so, but to get into the area, we had to go through 3 fences. We went through one fence, and then the other fence was more or less separated. It had a Jeep went rode around with machine guns on it, and then they had towers all the way around and lights everywhere. And then the other one we got in. We got our passes to go in. And but it was good. So I worked in supply for a while. And then one day I was typing a letter to Mom, I think it was, and I was just sitting there by myself typing away, and this captain walked in. And he just walked to the door and he stopped. And normally when an officer comes in, you're supposed to go to attention and all that, but I just kept typing. So pretty soon he left. That was all I heard from it. So the next day or two he called me into the office. And he said, I was over in the office the other day when you was in there typing. And he said, how many words a minute can you type? And I said, I can type 60. And he says, would you mind working for me? And I thought, sure, why not? So I went over to the orderly room, and I worked in there all the time. But then, when I went over to England, I went with the intentions of knowing the English people. I wanted to know the English people. So every Saturday night, they had a dance at this corn exchange thing they had there, and everybody would go there. So I started going in there every Saturday night, and then that's where Mo picked up. So Mo noticed me. I always stand over on one corner, stand over there by the wall. I didn't dance with the English girls, so I just stay there, and then they'd have a halftime or a break. They'd all go upstairs and have coffee and tea, and and rolls and stuff. And so I'd go up there and sit at this one table, and with these guys, I got to know one of them. One of them's name was Mac. He was kind of handicapped and had a dog all the time. Got to be good friends with him. And then there was two Air Force pilots.
RAF?
Yeah, RAF pilots. And I got to know them real well. And so after that was over, I'd go back downstairs. And like I said, Mo was there every Saturday night. And she saw me every Saturday night, but she never would come over and say hi or anything. And so 2 or 3 days later, the commanding officers called me in, and I walked in, and he says, "What have you done now?" And I thought, "What do you mean, what have I done now?" So he says, "The OSI's called and wants to see you over at the OSI office," which is equal to our FBI. So he says, "Go over there and see what they want." And so I went over there and sat down. There's two agents in there. And for 2 weeks, every day, I had to report to them. And they questioned me over and over and over. And finally, it stopped. And so then I knew what they told me, that I'd be followed. I was followed. And so nothing. I never heard anything from it again. But if I had it been, they'd have shipped me out in the middle of the night, and you'd never know it. We had several guys. They'd come in and make them pack up at night, ship them out. You never know where they went. You never heard from them.
Uh-huh.
And so.
Well, you don't know why they were questioning you?
Yeah, because somebody at that table that night was talking about what went on in our area. You know, but everything he was saying was wrong. So I don't know where he came from. I didn't recognize him, but there was an agent at that table, evidently.
Oh, and he might have been baiting you.
Yeah, there had to be an agent near there. But
So what do you just ignored him or just didn't talk about it?
I didn't know him. I see. That's why I didn't know who he was.
But you knew he was saying things that weren't right.
Yeah.
So you just let it go.
I didn't know. I didn't butt in. I just let him talk.
Okay.
I didn't butt in. Didn't just let him talk. Didn't say a word. And so then that ended. And then Valerie, Mo's girlfriend, called her one night and said, "Mo," she says, "how would you like to go out on a blind date?" And she says, "Now I'll tell you up front, he's an American." So Mo says,
would that have been a deal breaker?
well, Mo's
yeah.
family didn't like Americans.
Oh.
So, well, her Aunt Bet did. Her Aunt Bet worked for National City Bank in New York, and branch in London. So she knew, but she was pretty friendly all the way.
They like Germans even less.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so she told Mo told her, you and your boyfriend and him stand on that side of the hall, and I'll stand over here. And if I like him, I'll come across. And if I don't come across, forget it. So when she saw who it was, she come across. Well, she'd been there for weeks, just every Saturday night to see if I was there.
Uh-huh.
And so that's how.
So when you got called in by the OSI, did you continue to go every Saturday night?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's what surprised me, because I made a lot of English friends. You know, I had a taxi driver. If he was way back in line and I wanted to go somewhere, I'd go up and talk to him, and I'd say, "Meet me around the corner." So he'd drive around the corner, pick me up, and take me.
Uh-huh.
Whenever I needed a cab, I knew he was there.
Well, now that you mentioned the cab, how was it that the family knew Mo was going out?
I'll get to that. So anyway, we kept it a secret for a long time, and we'd always meet at that Buttercross. It was built in the year 10 something. I don't know, it's still standing.
Yeah.
So we'd meet there, and then we'd go to around to the shows or movies and all that. We went to the movie one night, and Snow White and Seven Dwarfs was on, and that's when I gave her the engagement ring.
Oh.
So we got that to remember. Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, she called me one day, and I talked to her about every day at noon. So she said, "Bob," she says, "our company's having a dance." Well, I forget what night it was, a Saturday night or something. And she says, "Would you like to go with me?" And I said, "I sure would." So I said, "I'll be there at the hall or at the dance hall at such and such a time." She says, "That'd be fine." So I went and we got in a cab there, and with another guy in our squad was going to the same dance with his girlfriend. So we was going about along the road, and he says, "Who are you going to dance with tonight?" And I said, "Maureen Morrison." I didn't know that the driver was her uncle. He lived in this in a duplex. He lived in the other half.
Uh-huh.
So he didn't say a word. didn't say a word. And I got out and met Mo there. And, well, first, she wasn't there at the time. I got there first. And so he got in the car when he dumped me out and went home. And he went in and told them all that she's going to see an American tonight. So Mo just told him, says, no. She says, I like this guy. I'm going to go see him, and I'm going to go with him. And that ended it. And, well, for one of them never did come around until 30 years later. We got married in 55 and 85. But Mo was going back. She wanted to go home, so we went home in 85. And she wrote her Aunt Bet, and she says, if George is the way he was when we left, we're not coming home. So her aunt wrote her back and says, time heals all sores and ages.
Yeah.
Heals everything. So he turned out to be the best one of the bunch. Best one of the bunch.
Well, it was just because you were an American?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what, did he not get over the revolution? I mean...
Well, there's Americans, you people don't know what those Americans do when they're over there. I've seen Americans laying on the street drunk and swinging on poles on the bus going around the road. They just do everything.
Oh, yeah, no, the ugly American.
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah,
that
the ugly Americans.
Right.
And that's what they had in their mind. And so Mo told him, said, no, he's different than the rest of them. And so it went on, and Mo one night told me, she says, Bob, my folks want to meet you. I said, fine. So she would pick the date, and so I went there, and so it rained that day, and so this taxi picked me up and took me to her house, and he parked over a mud hole full of water. So I stepped out of the cub right in that darn puddle. I had mud up my pants legs, my shoes, and everything. Then I go up and knock on the door. Now you had to step up into the house to go in, and when you went into that door, it was into the living room. So all the family was there. So when I went to step, I caught my toe on the thing and fell flat on my face, right in, right in the living room. So
Good first impression.
so I just came about. I didn't say anything. So I got up and they just laughed it off. But yeah, I stumbled right into the living room. And I thought, boy, that's a good.
So what was that time frame between the time you met Aunt Mo, the time you got engaged, the time, and then you got
I met her in, in 53. In 53, when I came home. Before I went overseas, I went with this girl from Paris. And we decided, hey, we'll go together. So when I got over there in 53, I wrote to her regular, and she wrote, and then it gradually fell off a little bit towards the end. But so in 53, I decided, I think it was about August of 53, I told myself, I said, you don't want to marry her. She's just not your type. She smoked and she drank, and so I put in for a 30-day vacation in December to come home for Christmas and to tell her, no, it's off. So when November come, those last part of November, I got the letter over home. I got the letter over that she wrote me. And she said, you always told me that if I wanted to break the wedding off, just to send a letter with nothing on it, just a blank sheet of paper. And she says, I can't do that, but she says, when you come home, I'll be married. And I said, wow. I said, wow. Got out of that one. So I came home then, and that's when I started going with Bo then. It was right after I went back in 54. It was probably, I'd say about August of 54. I started going with Mo. And
Yeah, do you remember what I did?
you
what'd
had
you
a
do?
baby.
No.
She didn't?
I know.
Well, how'd you get here?
I don't know.
I know about the deal with Gloria. I went down. It was a beautiful diamond ring, and I thought, she's not going to get that. So I went down and knocked on the door, and her mother came to the door, and I said, I'd like to see Gloria. And, oh, she said, today's her wedding day. And I said, I want the diamond back for Bob. And they gave it to me.
Who are you talking about?
Gloria Alexander. You don't know her, probably.
She's still alive.
Her brother
Um,
lives over Christmas now.
oh, does he?
Yeah.
Well, how'd she have the ring?
Bob
were
had given her,
engaged.
they were
Oh,
engaged.
oh,
And it was a beautiful diamond. It was a big diamond, and I thought she's not gonna.
What happened to that diamond?
They gave it back to Bob.
That diamond, Mo wanted that diamond.
Huh?
She wanted that diamond. And I says, Mo, no, she says, I like it. It's beautiful. I want it. And so I gave it to her, and I still got it over home. But that diamond ring made 2 or 3 trips across the ocean.
Huh?
Now, in June of 2010, it has a little history.
No.
In 2010, Mo was baking in the kitchen. And she was doing something with butter and cookies, and she had butter all over that ring and everything. So she took it off and threw it up on the counter there, and a bunch of Kleenexes or paper towels. And when she got ready to clean up, she just jerked them up and threw them in a wastebasket. And she says, I heard a ding. And so we took that wastebasket apart. We went through every little piece of paper, everything in that wastebasket, and couldn't find it. We looked under the dishwasher, couldn't find it. Looked in the dishwasher, wasn't in there. Looked under the refrigerator in case it rolled over there, it wasn't under there. It couldn't be found.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Mo, we've lost that diamond. I don't know where it's at. So I told her, I says, I'll go buy you another one. So I went out and I bought her another one. It was a little bigger and better. And I still got it over there. But in 2013, I was sitting in the kitchen, and she says, Bob, I broke my glasses in the dishwasher. And I thought, what's she doing with her eyeglasses in the dishwasher? so I went in there, and there was 2 glasses broke.
Oh.
She banged them together, and they broke. And the glass was everywhere. So I said, I'll clean it all out. So I got in there, took all the glass work out of it and everything, and put it in the wastebasket to throw it away. I said, now I got to go underneath where the drain pan is. So now the pan, like this, comes down to a little thing like that, and just got a hole. And the water just flows down and down. So I got out there and started scraping around, getting the glass out of there, and pretty soon I felt something. And I thought, what the heck is that? So I brought it out. I said, Mo, come here. It was her diamond. For 3 years, that diamond stayed in that dishwasher with a tiny thing, nothing to guard it. Only the water was going in from the dishwasher. Many times we washed dishes, it was still there.
Wow. Huh.
So it's over home.
Well, there you go. That's quite the story.
So, but she wore them both. Well, usually she wore the one I bought her on her wedding band, and she bought I gave her on her wedding band, and she wore the other one on the other hand.
Right.
And
wow, that's quite the story.
So
with that diamond,
yeah,
because you could, and you probably didn't have it insured, so you could get the insurance.
Yeah.
For it.
So, but
So tell stories about, if you have any stories about Grandma and Papa.
I don't know too much about. I didn't pay too much attention to what they did, really.
Except when they were chasing you up the hill.
Yeah. Dad was always this quiet one.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't accuse Grandma of that.
No, Mom was a yeller and a screamer. She took after her mother.
I don't know too much. Dad was just nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And my dad never spanked me or hit me, did. Mom was the one that did the spanking.
Yeah, Dad didn't.
Yeah, and but Dad did.
Dad was very calm and.
Mm-hmm.
I think he spanked you once.
Me?
Am I remembering this
Oh,
right?
that's right.
What?
That's right. What was that? You.
We were going on vacation or something to. Anyway, and you said you weren't going to go. You said, "Am I got this right?"
Wait a minute. We weren't around.
Yeah.
Pablo spanked Mom when she was an adult?
That's what.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't
Oh
remember
my
this.
goodness.
I thought there was something when, no, I thought it was something when you ran, you were going to fall into something, or you were going to fall into, yeah, and he picked you up. Oh, maybe that was me. Maybe that was me.
I was going to say.
Yeah, there was
I don't
something, and he
ever
smacked me
remember
once.
Dad.
Yeah,
Mom,
but I was a little kid, so I don't remember.
Oh, we forgot one thing.
what did we forget?
When we was young,
Oh, what's
the
that?
ducks.
The ducks.
Don't you remember about the ducks?
Tell me.
Getting in Bill Brooks's fish pond, his beautiful fish pond.
Oh, yeah. Tell it.
You had ducks.
Well, yeah, and he had this big fish
Beautiful.
pond.
Beautiful fish pond.
And in the back of it was like a hill. You could
A
climb
hill with
up
a
it.
waterfall.
And yeah, and
Wait a minute, who is this guy?
Bill Brook right next door, where the first house this side of.
West of you.
Yeah. And you know,
It was a beautiful. Had a little bridge that goes across one end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Lot ponds in it, fish in it, and our ducks got loose one day, and we had about 6 ducks.
Yeah.
Got loose, went over there, and oh, did they tear up the plants? That fish pond was a mess.
I
You
forgot.
had ducks? What? You had for what? Eating?
Well,
No, I don't know why we had the
I
ducks,
don't either.
but we did have 6 ducks.
Huh?
And
I can't imagine
boy, did they
those
tear! We got rid of the ducks.
Did you have ducks for supper that night, or what?
No, they were babies. Weren't they little or small?
No, they were big.
Were they big?
Well, yeah, they're about medium size. Yeah, but they sure got loose.
We had chickens too. We had rabbits. We raised rabbits to eat. It was during the Depression.
Yep.
And we had one old rabbit. It was brown. I called him Old Bob.
Bob.
And we could let him out. And one day we let him out, and we forgot it. I mean, he would run around, but he stayed there. He stayed right there at the house. He never went in.
I take it you never ate him.
Oh well, no, we didn't eat Old Bob.
What is it with what is the family lore regarding our relationship to the Cherokee?
We're not. We go back to Joseph Asbury Denbo. Joseph. Yeah, I think it was Joseph Asbury Denbo. I got the history and all that over there too. Married a girl who was a daughter of an Indian chief, I think he was. Her name was Letitia. Letitia got died by fire. She killed an oil lamp on her and it burned her.
Oh.
Now we met Letitia's Belle. Belle, remember? Well, you didn't.
I didn't know, but you went.
Mo and I went over to meet the Indians.
Where's where?
Oklahoma.
Oh.
Claremore, Oklahoma is full of Denbos.
Oh, really?
Jewelers and everything else over there. And Oce was there. Now, Oce, he's going to walk through that door. He was big. Bo looked at him and went, oh. But we went over and saw them, but we're not directly blood related. The only way we're related is through Joseph, who married this Letitia.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that history on that.
Yeah,
over there.
I thought for some reason there was more of a direct line. But
Now,
there's
see, Pocahontas is involved in the Denbo relationship.
not. Really?
Our great-grandfather, Charles H. Denbo, who lived in French Lick,
Yeah.
one of his relatives married Pocahontas.
One of his ancestors?
I've got to write up on that
He
over
couldn't
there.
have married Pocahontas because that was, because wasn't she back in the
Well,
70s?
ancestors. One of his ancestors.
Yeah, one of the ancestors,
Oh.
Charles H. Denbo's ancestors. I got to write up. I'll send
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's. I didn't know.
I got a picture of a bell, a nose when Mo and I went out and.
Mhm.
Yes, and another thing when we was kids, you remember the time that Bill came over and raised hell with us because we threw flour and eggs all over the wall, and we said no, we'd never been in that house. So what it turned out to be, it was their grown granddaughter, Nelsie
Nancy Sue.
McMullen.
Nancy Sue Brooks
Uh huh.
that was her grandparents, and she and Nelsie.
Was going to do some baking.
Yeah, and he was over, and Bill and
Susie
was gone, and I guess they made one heck of a mess in the kitchen, and we got accused of it
Why would you get accused of it?
because we were the kids next door.
What did you do? Was walk in her house? Or what?
Yeah. And then they found out, and Mom said, no, we weren't in their house, and yeah, I'd forgotten that.
Oh my.
Well, what did? And I just found out the other day that Mom was in 4 years of chorus in high school. Did you know that?
No, I didn't think you could sing.
Maybe I couldn't. I don't know.
Oh, I mean,
anyway.
when Papo said, "Well, I bet you're a good singer," because I thought, well, he obviously never heard you sing.
Well, I haven't heard her either.
I know. I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
No.
It It was in a yearbook. She showed me her.
Oh, the
annual.
yearbook?
Daniel.
Yeah.
You didn't take it home with you, did you?
No.
I told you could.
Oh well, you know me. I just put
I
in my
just
hand
went.
when I walk out.
And then Don, when we were married to Don, you guys was having a party, wasn't you? And Don and I decided we was going to, 2 different times we got caught. We got caught, well, we didn't get caught. We got caught by the police on one of them. But this one
I'd say they
particular
get
one,
caught.
we was going for a ride in town. Remember we found the raccoon out there by Smith's sisters?
Yes.
So we was going to catch that raccoon and take him home.
And don't ask me why. I mean, they were both adults.
So Don had a blanket in the car. So we decided we'd put that raccoon in that blanket. And I'd sit over there and hold it, and Don would drive. Or was it the other way around?
I don't remember now. I think Don was
Either
driving.
way, it
I think
doesn't
Don
sound
was
like
driving.
Don thought out.
Driving.
So we got that raccoon in that blanket in the car and started back to town. Well, the raccoon got out of the car and was in there with both of us, so we just jumped out. The car rolled over in the ditch over there. It wasn't a very big ditch. They rolled over there and stopped. And Don and I was standing there looking at it. And there's this raccoon. Well, we finally got the raccoon. Well, no, we didn't catch it. We didn't catch it. He made himself to town. So, and when he wound up,
Didn't need his help after all.
well, that was another story. So when he got to town, Hewlett Jones, who lived down there, her house was torn down. Now called me and says, "Bob," she said, "I got a raccoon on my front porch." Oh
Why'd she call you?
no, I don't know. But she says, "We got a raccoon in the house." I says, "I don't know what to tell you." Leave him alone, he'll leave. So, but the raccoon beat us back to town, I think.
Oh, what was the other?
The other time you was having a party, and Don and I was going to go someplace, and we got on the highway, and he looked and I said, "Hey, we're about out of gas." So he said, "We'll get to the intersection." So
Over here at
when
Newman.
so we went down the floor, and to keep the gas flowing across the gas vent
Oh, yeah.
and dry anything, he was going down. The car was going
Driving.
down the highway. Right behind us was a state trooper. we got about a mile from the state line, and we pulled off, and he pulled off behind us. And he says, "What in the hell are you doing?" Sam says, "I'm trying to get to that gas station and get some gas." Well, he sat there and shot the bull with us for a long time. We ran out of gas. He got in his car and left. So we had to walk up there and get a gas can and get gas and walk back and put it in the car. So, but Don says, "We'll get there," because he was. That old car was just like he's going down the road.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it
probably
keeps the
can't.
gas swishing across there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not applicable today.
Yeah, I'll say probably went
Yeah.
down.
But yeah, that cop he was unhappy, but he didn't give us a ticket. He could have, but he didn't.
Yeah. Well, for what? Were you
Reckless driving.
oh, reckless driving?
So,
No.
but
Well, tell the story about Aunt Mo and not catching on to when you and Dad were kidding about things. You'd say, "You know what I'm talking about."
No.
yeah, she looked over at you, and you'd say, "No, but
Oh, yeah. We were going.
fresh lick."
Well, that's where we were going. Okay, so I was sitting in the back seat, and Don.
No, you sitting in the front, wasn't you? Normally I sit in the back seat. You was driving.
Okay. And they would tell Mo anything that he and Don and she'd believe it. You know, she'd believe it. So we made up a code like, and so whenever they say something, she'd watch me, and I'd either go like this, you know, or like this. So that, and
Big
remember when they went by and Bob or somebody said, "Oh, look at the red-winged blackbird," and I'm going. And Mo's looking at me because she'd never heard of a red-winged blackbird, you know. But
Well, we was going to French Lick. See Aunt Ruthie. Well, Aunt Ruthie lived way back in the hill, way back in the woods. It just all growed over, just like a cave.
Yeah.
So we was going down through there, and of course we told Mo before we went down, and Aunt Ruthie lives so far back in there, they have to pipe the daylight in. So we're going down this lane, and there's Mo looking out the window like this. And she kept asking back like this, and she looked out my window, and she did this way, and I'd say, "Mo, what are you looking for?" And she says, "I'm looking for the pipes."
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so.
She's the one that had, because I went there once, I think.
Aunt Ruthie's. Oh.
Well, all I remember is this really big feather bed.
Yeah.
And that you
Yes.
fell into it like you couldn't get
And,
out.
and I remember, yeah, you were little, and you got hot. So I got up in the middle of the night, and we went and slept on the floor, because you get on that feather, and it just
Yeah.
you're surrounded by feathers,
Right.
and you got it was warm, and you got hot, so I had to get up and
I'm surprised people survived on those things.
yeah. But that's all they had. Then was
How'd your back?
feather ticks.
Yeah, your back and just
Yeah.
the heat, the humidity. Yeah.
Then when I had the scouts, I decided I wanted to make an Indian headdress. Big bonnet like this. So I got all the feathers, and I got them all washed, and I put them in the dryer, which was the wrong thing to do. I put them in the dryer to dry them. So when I opened the dryer, I heard all these little things come flying out of that, little
Wait.
feathers. And they settled in the ductwork for the thing. And that winter, when we turned it on, here's all these little things flying all over the house. So Bo would always look at that and she just shake her head. It took a long time to get all them feathers, so I never did that again.
I never thought of even putting feathers. First time I never thought about washing feathers.
Yeah, I was trying to get them clean, and make them stretch out and all that, and then dry them and be fluffy. And
Well, then you didn't get your head. You made your headdress some other way.
well, I finally got a headdress made, and then I gave it to some little kid, and I
Right.
made a TP and give it to some little kid. That was a big TP. Don't you remember? Don't you remember that TP?
I don't.
You didn't get it?
No,
Deprived.
I was.
So yeah, I gave it to Horton's little boy. Over in the
The Black Barn.
yeah, the Black Barn. No,
Pe-
yeah, they were in the Black Barn at the time.
Yeah.
They
Black
put it up in their
Barn.
house,
Where's
down
the
in their
Black
house,
Barn?
down at the hill when you come down.
Yeah.
That's it. Sell vegetables and everything. Called the Black Barn.
Over in
in
Ohio.
Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, sometime we're going to have to look at the rest of the history.
Well, that's, okay, so, I know you did well in sports. What did you say the other night about, you had a record?
yeah, I got mile record and half mile records around the schools, and
Right, in
Then when
Illinois
I
or
was in
just in,
England- I played the basketball on our squadron team, which we had a good team. We had a darn good team. And I was averaging 24 points a game.
wow. That's
And-
pretty impressive.
And then we got to go into well, we got out of the big tournament, but another kid and I, Whitey Guile from Iowa, and I was picked to go on the Air Force team over in England. And if we'd have won that, we'd have come to the States. But we lost by one game of that.
Mm.
But and
Yeah,
then-
but track you were real good in running.
yeah, I ran the mile. I ran 2 mile to win 1 mile race. I told you that the other night.
Mhm.
Well, tell it again for the
Oh,
camera.
we had a track meet at Shiloh, or not Shiloh, Young America, and it was with the Shawarman Catholic School out of Danville. So we went out and to get ready for them to come and arrive. Well, they never did show up for a while. So the coach says, well, he says, they're not coming. So he says, we'll just call it an evening and we'll just go and shower. So I told the coach, I said, well, I'm going to run my mile because I'm dressed and ready. I'm just going to run it for practice. So I ran the mile, got done, and here they came. So I had to run the mile again, but I won it again. I beat him. So, and a few years later, he told Bellou that at a reunion they had, that he ran the mile against a guy down there at Hume one time. And Mo says that was my brother.
No, Betty Lou said that's my brother.
Who was
Yeah.
this guy, Mom?
I don't remember.
Well,
now,
how
but
would you? Why was he at a reunion with you?
Well, it was up at Danville, and we had a class reunion, and they had a class reunion.
Oh,
And we were so small that after they got through, they asked us to join them, come in and join them, and we did. And then they found out, where we were from, and that's when he said, well, he'd ran, against somebody, and I said, well, I bet that was my brother, Bob Denbo. And he said, yeah. And,
wow. Small world.
yeah.
So did either one of you play musical instruments in school?
I played the flute for a little while, and
Well, I never knew that.
You didn't know
I
that.
didn't.
He
I
didn't play anything. But I had trouble reading the notes and that didn't make sense to me. So, and Mom tried me when I was little on the piano, and the same difference. It just didn't make sense to me, that those notes and all that. So, but now Mom played by ear. She played beautiful by ear.
So she never had any lessons?
I never saw a piano in their house.
Well, there wasn't. But we had a piano when we lived before we moved. There was a piano up there. But I don't know what they
Up
did.
there, meaning where Grandpa lived?
Yeah, where we lived.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she could play by ear. She could sit.
And Grandma had that organ.
And Grandma had the organ, but
Oh, I remember that, the pump organ.
yeah, but Dee has it now, doesn't he have it?
No,
Or Sally?
Sally's got it. Sally's got everything but the stool.
Yeah, Bob's got the stool.
I've got the stool
Who's
now, and they
Sally?
think that they've got the stool.
Huh?
Sally who?
Well,
Sally Robinson,
Kelly.
Oh, really?
Kitty's
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah, Diane has moved to Marshall.
Yeah, you told
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
And and Bob's got the stool to it.
Yeah.
But they don't. Well, Bob told Diane when she came down to see us or come up I guess, that he had the
I showed it to her, sitting
Yeah.
right there.
yeah, that he had the stool to that organ.
Huh.
Because Mom brought it home one time, didn't she?
The stool?
Yeah.
I don't know how we got it, but it is the original stool for that organ. I don't remember how Mom got it, but
So, Mom, who was your best friend in school?
Oh, I'd have to say probably Janet Moore was, in the group. And then I ran around with Mildred Barrett. But,
They were in your class?
yeah.
And Uncle Bob, what about you?
Steve Boyer probably.
Is he the
Is
same
Is that
age?
Verge, his brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was one that had polio.
Oh.
I can remember when he got that. We was in lower grade school,
Yes, I
about
remember.
the first or second grade, or somewhere in there. And I remember he came back to school, but he couldn't walk as good. So
Earl Wood.
Sam Overton and I would always take him to the playground. We get on each side and take him over to the playground, be with him, and then we'd carry him back and put him back and get him back in the classroom. And
And then he did well, but then it came back on. It comes back in later years.
Yep. Post-polio
Yeah, it has
syndrome.
several,
Right.
it comes back on him.
yeah,
And it did him too. He's been dead a long time.
yeah.
I just saw
He and I would always catch the doodle bug. I said, well, go.
Uh-huh.
He and I catch that doodle bug and go to shows. And
So he did well, relatively well. Well, he obviously wasn't an athlete.
right,
No.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did pretty good. Yeah,
All right.
he did pretty good.
Well,
And then there was a time of the chocolate-covered bees and ants and all that. Remember that?
yeah, when they used to eat them, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, Mo and I had a hi, Deb.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Did you get out of the traffic jam?
And then I get up to around Rockville, and there's some dude in the with a wrecker there. The boat come off his trailer, and it
Oh.
was sitting in the ditch.
Oh, wow.
So, I had
So
to get-
anyway, we had a euchre party. Well, not you and I. Mo and I had a euchre party. Well, we had a euchre club.
Uh-huh.
And there's about 8 couples, and we'd go around different ones, but you had to get different prizes for high, low, and the most loners and all this. And one of ours, we got him, was a box of chocolate-covered ants, or bumblebees, grasshoppers, and I don't know what it was. But anyway, I wound up with it. So we was going to work one night, so I just put the things and took them to work with me. So we always stopped at this one restaurant over there before we went in to work. And so the waitress come around and she says, what do you got in your box? And I told her, and I showed her, it says chocolate covered bees and all that. And she looked at them and I said, you take one and I'll take one. She said, oh no, I won't. No. So I said, tell you what, if I eat one, then you'll eat one. She said, I'll do that. So I picked out a chocolate covered bumblebee and I ate that down. So she picked out something and ate it. So this was on for 3 or 4 days, and I had a call, or orders, to go to Salina, Kansas for my Air Force training. So I had to go out there for, I think it was a week or 2. So I went out there, and the guys kept us stopping there and getting the coffee. And finally one night she says, what happened to that guy that was with you that ate that chocolate covered bumblebee? They said he died. When I came back, I never did see her. I don't know, I don't know where she went. So I don't know what happened there, but
Oh, it's pretty funny.
a lot of things happened. I remember the night we was working over there at the USI, and this guy had a Volkswagen, and he always come in the back door to get his records and stuff what happened to, you know, during the day and the night there. And the other guys on my shift, I was in charge of all of them. The other guys on the shift run the damn elevator door up, drove his Volkswagen in on the elevator, took it down to the basement, shut the doors all up, and he couldn't find his Volkswagen for a long time. They found us where it was at. We'd all been fired.
Exactly. Well, that's great. I think this has been good.
Have you got anything else on our list?
I
Yeah.
got everything on our list covered. Feathers and
All right. Well, we may do this again sometime, but so you can be thinking about new stuff.
you got any questions? About when we was young, what happened to you, us, and you?
I remember the bee story.
All right.
Yeah.
We done?
I think we're done for
Alrighty.
right now. For right now. For now.
You mean that for now?
For now.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.